So it looks like we finally know what Emu from One Piece officially looks like. There have been a bunch of speculations on what Emu would look like, like gender Emu is, because did I say emo? Emu is because when we were first introduced to Emu, the voice was distorted. I'm pretty sure that it's still going to be distorted until we figure out what Emu looks like. But we're gonna assume Emu's male from the appearance that we got last night. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about what Emu looks like and my thoughts on it. So, spoilers if you're not caught up to One Piece, which I am not, by the way. Do not watch this video because we're going to discuss what Emu looks like. And if you don't want to know what Emu looks like, obviously don't watch as well. You know, if you want to wait for the anime to get to this in, like, I don't know, a very long time, do not watch. But if you don't mind, let's go. Okay, so yesterday, well, I also hope too that this is not a joke. I hope this is not like an April Fool's prank because, you know, we live in the world of 2026 with creative artists and stuff. So I hope this is not fake. I hope this is legit. But yesterday we got we got a preview for like leaks of the next chapter that's coming out, and at the end of the chapter, it shows what Emu looks like. And I'm gonna have a picture up on the screen of what Emu looks like, but Emu looks completely different than what I thought Emu was gonna look like. Because if you know, throughout the entire series, Emu was just like this being that was just a black silhouette with red eyes. So people thought Emu could be a girl because of this, because the way the silhouette looked, it looked female. And like I said, the voice sounds female. Obviously, that doesn't mean nothing because a lot of male anime characters are voiced by girls. You know, Luffy's voiced by a girl, Goku's voiced by a girl, Edward Elric is voiced by a girl too. So that doesn't mean nothing, but it just seemed like, you know, Emu could have been a girl from like the silhouette and stuff. But obviously, we're gonna assume that Emu's a male, and the design does look cool. I don't like the little horn thing that he has like up top because it reminds me. People are also saying this too. It reminds them of like Sanji a little bit from like the horns. Obviously, Sanji doesn't have horns, but like I think the hairstyle is what makes people think of Sanji when they look at it. And I assume this means we're in like the final arc of One Piece because they've been saying this for a really long time, being like, yeah, guys, once we go to Albath, this is going to be a prelude to like the final arc and stuff. So with Emu being revealed, I'm assuming that we're getting closer and closer to like the actual finale of One Piece. And you know, as a One Piece fan, I should be excited because I have been on and off watching One Piece for like 10 years. So I should be excited, but I don't know, man, because like I said in the beginning, I'm not caught up in One Piece because I've just dipped off from it so much because I just can't keep up with it. There's way too much going on, even though we have the anime, but I just don't like how the anime changes the art style so much because during like the part 1 of One Piece, it had a normal art style that was like, you know, it stayed the same up until like I think Water 7, and then that's when everyone became freakishly tall for no reason. Like they made Robin so tall in that arc for no reason, and everyone just looked way too shiny throughout that arc as well. So we had that. I think after Water 7, we stayed with that art style until the time skip, and then, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of One Piece time skip because I don't know. I know a lot of fans say this too, and I agree. It's just like, I don't know, the magic of One Piece before the time skip was really good. Like I still need to go back and watch like before the time skip One Piece, but I think I'm gonna have a good time because it was just everything was just so good. A lot of the stuff they did was really well. I saw a video a couple days ago on Twitter about like how Luffy and Blackbeard met, and it's just so crazy to think about Luffy meeting Blackbeard just at a bar eating food, and us not realizing how important this character is going to be to the show. Like that is just great setup by Oda, the creator of One Piece. And in the time skip, it has stuff like that. You know, Luffy having Gear 5. I think it's cool up to a point, but I don't hate Gear 5, but it's just like, I don't know. I do hate, though. This wasn't just the Emu video, but let me just get this out. I don't like how they gave Bonnie Gear 5 as well. Me personally, I really don't like how they did that because it's kind of just like, why? Why did Bonnie get Gear 5 randomly? Anyways, whatever. But yeah, so Imu. Going back to this, I'm assuming Imu's going to be the final villain of One Piece. I don't want that to be the case, but I assume Imu's going to be, and I wish it's Blackbeard because Emu makes more sense, I guess, right? But I just wish it was Blackbeard because obviously Luffy doesn't have correlations to Emu, from what I remember. Let me just say from what I remember. But Luffy has correlation with Blackbeard because obviously Blackbeard was the one who killed Ace. Well, not killed Ace, but like he got Ace to be executed. So Luffy already doesn't like Blackbeard, and Blackbeard has been set up so much from like the start to just be like this great evil villain, and I just don't know. I just think them trying to make Emu the final villain. Once again, I definitely could be wrong, but them kind of just like sliding Emu in as like the final villain when we've known about Emu for a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know me personally, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Once again, I do hope somehow Luffy and Blackbeard fight. Same thing with Luffy and Akainu, because obviously Akainu is the reason why Ace died, because Akainu fisted Ace. So I just hope eventually, which it probably will happen during the final arc, that Luffy essentially beats Blackbeard and Akainu, because he has to. Because imagine if One Piece ends with Luffy beating Emu and that's it, and like Blackbeard and Akainu are still alive. It's like, why? Why, Luffy? You have to kill, well, not kill, beat both of them for your brother. You know, I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to quickly talk about Emu's design, what this means for the series, and yeah, I think Oda did a really great job on designing Emu. Once again, I don't watch One Piece or read it as much as I should, but there's one thing you can't take away from Oda, is when he designs male characters, he usually does a good job. Female characters, they all get namified, as people say, but with the male characters, usually, he does a great job. So, Emu looks cool. I wonder what his abilities are. You know, I think we know what some of them are, and yeah, once again, I hope this is not like fake either, because I'm going to be so upset if I figure out, oh yeah, man, I made this, haha, tee April Fools, because it's came out on April Fool's Day, so probably should have researched this, but hopefully this is real. If not, I'm gonna look very dumb. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts on what Emu looks like. Do you wish that Blackbeard was the final villain of One Piece instead of Emu? Do you think One Piece is gonna have a bad ending? Because you know we've had a lot of shows have bad endings this year, and whenever One Piece ends, it's probably gonna have a bad ending too. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah.